All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a review for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead, which is for Season 4, Episode 4 now. This one is called Buried. And possible spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen this episode yet, you will probably want to watch it before you watch this review. So the fourth episode for Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, as we've seen so far this season, we have Morgan coming into Fear. We bring in Al and John as new characters. We have kind of a couple different storylines going on at the same time here between two different time frames. We get the time frame back at the stadium, which is where the Fear the Walking Dead survivors stayed for quite a while. The Fear group lived there for over a year or so, and then of course eventually something happened which we haven't been entirely shown as of yet, how the whole thing ended. They're kind of building to that to kind of show us that, which it seems to be taking a little while to kind of find out, which makes it a little bit frustrating because you just kind of want to get those answers and you just kind of want to know what happened or how this whole thing went down, which resulted in Madison disappearing and Strand, Alicia, Luciana, and Nick kind of going off on their own or somehow being by themselves and then eventually running into the other group. So we're still kind of waiting for answers, which makes this one a little bit of a frustrating watch for me because, I get it, and it's cool to see kind of their timeline and how things were working out here and what was happening at the stadium and what they were doing. But it's just a little bit frustrating because you kind of want to get those answers soon. You don't want to have to wait the whole half season, but that probably is what looks like they're going to most likely do. And then maybe in the mid-season finale show us how this whole thing kind of went down and finally what happened here and how they lost the stadium. So that's one thing about it, and I do find this episode to be extremely frustrating, and also kind of the whole stadium flashback sequences. While I do like them, because I like to see more scenes with Nick, I like to see, Madison and the others and what's happening and all that, our original Fear group, it's just frustrating the hell out of me that they seem to be okay with allowing this group of the vultures to just sit there right outside of their gates, living, eating food and everything else while they're trolling them, talking about relish and stuff on the walkie-talkie, on the radio communicator, and they just are allowing them to just chill there. Well, you have some characters in this thing, each kind of section of groups that go out on a run here, each one is kind of considering leaving. You have a few different flashback sequences in this episode. You have Nick and Luciana who go to a library. You have Alicia and Naomi, or Laura, which is kind of revealed in this episode, and that's one of the big takeaways of this episode, which is pretty good, is that that character there, played by, I think, Jenna Elfman. I'm not great with names because I don't watch a whole lot of other drama-based movies and stuff, but she's been in a lot of stuff, and she's a pretty high-profile actress. We find out in this one that she is John's love interest he's been looking for as Laura, and then also we find out that, of course, she's connected with the group as she comes in, in the stadium sequences. So she's debating leaving, Luciana's debating leaving, and then the other group we see go is Strand and the other guy whose name escapes me at the moment, who Strand seems to like, and Strand is debating leaving and decides to go back. So they all decide to return, and there's kind of a twist in that they kind of reveal that it was a mistake to return, or it was a mistake to go back and bring all the supplies that they had at that time back there, and that they should have actually left the stadium when they had the chance. So this is it's pretty strange to me, and it's a bit frustrating to watch through. Maybe we should go into some of the good stuff first. So I did like the runs. They were pretty cool, especially the water park, which was kind of fun to see. It did kind of frustrate me a little bit even with that, too, because you have all the zombies in the water, and they have leverage above the water. They could have just, had them come over and then just easily from, just clean them out first before they kind of went up the water slide. But they kind of did the other way around, where they kind of just went up and kind of tried to avoid them rather than cleaning them first and then going. But the whole while, I just felt this sense of suspense where they're all off on these runs, because I'm thinking to myself, you have this group at your gates right now well, you guys are all leaving. You have 3 different groups here of a couple people in each that are all capable, especially, some of them with the weapons and stuff. Strand and, Nick and Alicia are well-hearted, and as we know, fighters at this point. They're all going out, all 6 of you, in different runs at the same time, while you have this group just chilling back at your base that could attack you at any time while you're gone. And as you guys all leave, the 6 of you guys go out, they could, so you have 6 people, 6 fighters less, while they're just chilling there. They could easily attack at that moment while you're gone. They could easily decide to kind of go at you while you're off in the run, and you won't have any idea unless you're within walkie-talkie range for them to tell you. By the time you get back anyway, it would be too late. So it was a very, even though the water slide park was kind of cool, the churros scene, which we saw in the trailers and that leading up to this half season, or this season of Fear the Walking Dead, it just, even though I liked the runs, they were okay, I just had this sense of like, what are you guys doing? The whole time through, I'm like, what are you doing? And of course, we know how it results. So it's kind of tricky, because we know that they must lose here. They must lose a stadium, and they must run away. And somehow Madison is either killed or she's disappeared in this instance. But I just found it to be so just annoying to watch this through, thinking like, these characters should not act this way. They should not respond this way. Madison has seen a lot of evil. She's seen evil on both sides of the groups at the ranch. The others, Alicia, Proctor John, and the others as we go through. They've done some things, Madison basically killing Celia, for example, in Season 2. And they've seen a lot of villains as we go through the series. They've seen groups, do things that they really shouldn't do. They've seen the group that attacked the Colonia before in Season 2 as well, near the end there. You have a lot of experience here in these characters. They're not a new group of survivors in the zombie apocalypse like, we're okay with just letting someone chill at our gates. It's all right, and it's not a problem. We're just going to live and send people off. Send 6 fighters out on runs while there's like, a mini, or not an army, but a dozen or more people here that could attack us at any time with high-powered vehicles that could ram the gates in and do all this stuff, and are just kind of relaxing there. They're pretty well fed. Meanwhile, the group at the stadium has been kind of starving or eating what they have to eat in order to survive. And even though Strand brings back a nice haul here, because he's so smart that he has kind of a vehicle planted that he can use to leave if he has to, or if the place falls, he can go there and survive off that for a little while. He's got a backup plan, which I think is very intelligent of him to do. At the same time, he's not, now he is kind of selfish, so we could say he's selfish and cowardly, so it makes sense for him as a character not to attack this group outside of the gates. But you just think of, at least me as an old school Fear fan, I'm just thinking of what Troy would do if he was there at this moment, seeing Madison do this stuff and seeing her chill while you have this antagonistic group right outside your walls, just chilling there, trolling you about relish and stuff like this, while you're just like, trying to survive, trying to make it, barely eating, and they're just relaxing. It's like, it's quite the head scratcher for me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel to me like Madison should respond that way based on her experience so far in the zombie apocalypse, and also considering that they are a few years in at this point, or they are far in at this point. It's not like this is, a new group here. This is a seasoned, hardened group of survivors that has made it years in the zombie apocalypse, and they should know better. They should know that they can't allow these guys to just chill here. They pretty much have 2 options. One, they leave and they get everybody together. They say, okay, it's yours, you can have it, see you, bye. And they all go together, in the night or something, they leave or whatever. Or, they try it the other way where they, basically get everything together, load it all up, and just drive off and do that kind of deal. So there's that option of just running and leaving, which they do kind of consider in this one, but they don't consider it as a whole, as a group, with Madison saying, okay, that's the one option. The other option is you wipe them out, right? You wait till the middle of the night, you act like everything's cool, you act like you're weak, whatever. In the middle of the night, you give everybody the weapons. You don't call it on the talkies. You whisper the whole thing through. You get the whole plan together. You get everybody, and when they're not expecting it, you hit them with everything you got. Everything. You send I don't care if you have kids, you give them a gun or whatever, a knife, or you tell them to go hide in the back and you lock it, and you send everybody out to fight against them, because you cannot allow them to sit there antagonistically like that at your border and just chill. That is not acceptable to me based on what we've seen and based on what they have seen in the zombie apocalypse at this point. It does not make any sense to me that she would be okay with sending people on several runs, going even further out, this idea of Nick and the others going even further out next time to do whatever, and just allow these people to just relax there. I don't see this. And you could say, well, maybe she thinks that they don't have enough strength to take them out. And then if that's the case, or she just somehow thinks she can talk them out of attacking them or something, or that, they don't want to have it on their conscience to do something so brutal like that. And if they were going to attack, they would have already. No matter which way you try to rationalize it, when I look at it, I see the two options. That's it. I see the two options. I don't see a third option to just relax and survive and hope they go away. That's not the way you solve a problem. You don't just really leave things there and just hope that they'll solve themselves or work itself out. I like to think that the group has enough self-responsibility this time to understand that they cannot just allow that to happen. They have to be actively engaged with what's going on here, and they don't have that many choices. They either run or fight at this point. Someone coming up and parking right out front of your doors is basically that's a declaration of war and just chilling there. You cannot allow them to stay there. Them racing you to get food and doing some of this on the talkies and hearing this kind of thing, it's just totally unacceptable to me. It's very frustrating to watch through, because I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, why are you behaving like this? Why does this? And if there is an explanation for it, we should have had one earlier. I don't feel like now there has been some discussion about how to deal with this group a little bit, but I haven't seen enough that it would make sense for them to continue to act like this. Just based on their experience and based on what they've seen prior, it doesn't work for me. So that's the stadium timeline, and those are that's how I'm feeling about it. So as I'm watching all of those scenes through, I'm just thinking to myself, this group should be more intelligent than this, and they should not be, it's like, how could you do that? Like, how could you just be okay with it and not really give us, the audience, a clear explanation on why she's deciding to do this? Maybe she believes there's good in everyone or something, and they can all make it go together, and she can talk them into joining or something like this. I don't get it, man. I really don't get it at all. It's like just ignoring a problem and hoping it'll go away on its own, and that's just generally not the way things go. So as a result of that, I'm watching the episode through. The current present timeline we get to see as things are going through here. We get to some thoughts of Nick and what happened with him. They bury him, and that's called Buried, the episode. We see the intro and all that. So, and then most of the episode goes through with Al asking them questions, getting their story, for the most of it without the ending, which is the biggest part that we really want to see. And really us getting to see them kind of describe all this other stuff and how things were leading up here without any final answers. But then we do see the spot that Al brings them to. They have a huge stash of weapons and all kinds of stuff that they're ready to go, and they're going to go try to get the vultures at their next meetup and take them out. And if it is the fact or the case that they cannot handle or they cannot take the vultures by themselves, the vultures either have too many people, they have too much of an arsenal, they're connected with other communities out there, they're connected to other bigger groups, then okay, that's fine that you have that, but you need to kind of make that clear to me. And if that's the case, you kind of need to leave. There's really no way I see it here where logically, as a leader of the group, Madison can just say, okay, we're all going to chill here, and just hope they don't do the wrong thing. Hope they don't, do something that we don't want. Hope they don't attack us while we're all gone on these runs and stuff. It's just like, wow, or attack or try to take, if they take someone captive, if Nick's coming back and Alicia's coming back and they take them, capture them, and basically put them, in the front governor style and tell them to surrender or we're going to kill them. Something like this, So it's just, it's really strange. I guess that's most of what I want to give my thoughts on this one. In terms of the scenes, one by one, so we see the group separate at the end here. You have John who finds out about Laura or Naomi, and Morgan stays with him, which I did like. That was cool. And Morgan doesn't really want to get involved in this. He just fought all out war. He's not really feeling like, no, kill all these vultures and stuff just because they're bad dudes. It's like he's probably at this time is not interested, right? I mean, he probably will have to get suckered into it at some point here, and John might want revenge after we see some flashbacks flashback sequences next week of what happened with Laura. But at the same time, it's just like the groups are separated. You have Al that goes with the others, and they go to kind of, I guess, get revenge on the vultures for what we haven't seen happen. But eventually, I'm assuming, and we'll do this more in the predictions video, we'll get more into this, most likely Nick's idea where they can go and do this and go further north, further out, maybe backfired, because like I was saying, maybe when they left at some point, or some of their strong people left, the vultures decided to strike and take the stadium, and probably did do so. So that's just why it's definitely different from anything we've seen before. We've never seen this kind of scenario in the Walking Dead television series universe before. I just find it very, very strange that this is how the Fear Group is responding to it, and I find it to be so overpowering with regards to the story and the way things are going through, that when I see characters on runs and that, and I see them doing stuff, it's hard for me to watch, because I'm just thinking to myself, like, this doesn't make sense that you would do this given the current state, the threat that is right at your gates right now. Even if Madison says so, or you guys are running low on food or whatever, that doesn't make it okay for you to go out on runs. What it does is it gives you a timer. It tells you that you only have this much time to either leave or take this group out, and you got to make a decision right now. Inaction is still a decision. Inaction is, and usually it's not the right decision to just do nothing. There's a few cases, but most cases, it's just problems don't solve themselves without some kind of, most of the time, without some kind of, intervention there. So in terms of score for the episode, and I'm not going to go over absolutely every scene. Like I said, there is some cool stuff in it with some of the runs, like the water park. We've never seen anything like that before. That was different in that. And so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. There is some good stuff in it. We did get to spend some more time with these characters. And, I do feel for John. It was cool. There's one thing to mention, that we found out that John was a cop. That was pretty cool, because that's something we didn't know. There's just a lot of parallels between John and Rick. And it's just really kind of neat. And he pretty much goes back in the story about one of his cop friends or whatever, who was a fellow officer who was drinking too much whiskey, and basically the leopard doesn't change its stripes so easily, and he's right. That's not the case. So in terms of score, 7 out of 10 for me. It wasn't an amazing episode or anything like that, I don't think. It felt a little bit like a spacer episode. There's enough in it, enough substance in it for John and for the others, Naomi and that, so that's fine. I just found it very frustrating to watch through, that's all. But that's me, and maybe that's not you guys. So maybe with this one, leave a comment below. Let me know, what do you guys think about this in terms of the strategy and in terms of what we're seeing, and how it makes sense. I mean, some people have compared it to Negan and the Saviors and Rick's group before, but that was pretty obvious in that case that they were outnumbered like hundreds to very few, and they pretty much lost all their weapons. They found out pretty quickly that they could not beat the Saviors in the Walking Dead version, but in the Walking Dead with the Saviors versus the Survivors. In this case, I don't get the sense that, given the right opportunity and the vultures not expecting it, that Madison and the others couldn't take this group out. It looks to me like they probably could, given the right opportunity and the right timing. And, they go out at night or something, they go around, they come in, or they go out in their vehicles and they start, just run into them all and take them out. I don't know, man. It's just like, and you could say like, well, again, you can try to rationalize and say, well, they're not a group of fighters, whatever. They're a group of kind of mostly whatever. And it's like, then you have to run. It's one or the other to me. It doesn't, it's pretty simple for me to say. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, about the episode. And as a review, I don't want this to be just like a rant review or me talk, I talked a lot about how the whole thing doesn't make sense. And that's not what I don't want to just beat it to death here and just, to just do that. It was an okay episode. It's just, I found it very frustrating knowing that they lose and knowing it's like, why did you guys just like, really? You didn't do, I don't know. Okay, fine. Anyway, that'll be it for this review, guys. That's really all I got to say about this episode. I hope that, things start making more sense in the near future, because the Fear Group, especially Strand and the others, they should be more advanced than this strategically. They should understand that this is not the right answer, the right thing to do. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think, man. And I'll be back in about half an hour to an hour for the predictions video for this week and what I think will happen in episode 5. And of course, we'll do lots of Q&As this week. So send me the questions you guys have below so I can add them for the Q&As going forward, leading into episode 5. Anyway, that's it for this review, guys. I hope it didn't And, I don't mean to piss you guys off or anything. If you did like the episode, that's fine, totally cool if you did like it. That's just, I guess, for me, from like a strategy standpoint, why I found out I struggled so much to watch it through, because I'm just like, this just doesn't make... Madison should know better than this, And if this is what cost them the stadium and why they lost, it's like, man, I would think she would be more advanced than this. Anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. And you can do it. You can subscribe at the bottom. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.